Okay, welcome to our Modern Miracles Academy Monday classes. We are so grateful to be together. And if you're listening to the recording, welcome. You have come here in perfect timing for your path. And we are trusting that we will receive what is truly helpful for our hearts and our minds and our healing today. So just relax, just keep an open heart. We've invited the Holy Spirit and Jesus, the teachers of A Course in Miracles, our inner teachers, to guide us today. And we're just so grateful to just receive whatever is in our best interests for the whole, for all of us. So we are in a wonderful theme of defenselessness. And we are moving through the 10 characteristics of God's teachers. And I would say that over the course of my study, over the years, that defenselessness is one of my favorite themes. And it's one of my favorite themes because to me, it is so actionable. It is so tangible. If I am defensive and I can identify my defensiveness, I love the empowered decision to drop my defenses into a space of defenselessness. And to me, when I read the lesson, "In my defenselessness, my safety lies," it totally blew my mind. It's the topic of our class tonight. "In my defenselessness, my safety lies." And it blew my mind because I had only learned and ever learned in this world that it was my defensiveness, my defenses that kept me safe. And here in A Course in Miracles, which speaks without exception, it tells us our defenselessness is the pathway to safety. And I would say I've definitely been born into a script where safety is an issue, where I feel unsafe in the world. I feel like I need protection. I just feel like I've had that since I was a kid. Well, probably because I grew up with a mom who was hyper overprotective. I could not walk across the street without her watching me. I could not go to the park when I was a kid. So I kind of grew up in this space where it's like the world is dangerous. It's not safe. And so to probably a lot of undoing on my journey of defenses just being built from a young age into adulthood and trying to hold myself safe that way. So I think I knew on a level that this was a liberating idea, that I could find safety through letting go, that I could find safety through dropping defenses. Oh, so good. So good. So if you are new here, my name is Reverend Lisa Windsor. I am the founder of Modern Miracles Academy. And I'm so happy just to welcome you into our community. We meet on Mondays. We have amazing, rich classes about A Course in Miracles, followed by discussion groups led by our leadership team. So we kind of do a deep dive into the deep conversation about what we've been sharing and teaching and talking about. So so happy you're here. Yeah. The other thing that I just want to mention is that I always invite you, even though for the majority of this time we are listening, I'm speaking and you're listening and you're in a place of receiving. I also want you to be actively participating. That means deep inner listening. That means watching your mind for distractedness and bringing your attention back. That means listening on the level of intuition, where something I say, it lands in your heart or it sparks something, or it even brings up a defensiveness. Oh, I didn't like what she just said. Those are all indicators that there's something there for you to look at. It's part of your journey. And then there's other things I might say that just kind of feel like peace or there's quiet there. You just let those things flow through. Everything is going to land where it's meant to land. Everything will integrate as it's meant to integrate. And that's what's beautiful about the discussion group the following week is it's for integration, deeper integration. Okay, so defenselessness. Last time we talked at length about defensiveness. We talked about all the ways in the ego strategies that we have learned to build defenses, really defenses against the truth, defenses against God, defenses against the light of understanding. And so there's a big turnaround now, and I'm really going to focus on the shift to defenselessness as the direction we are heading for peace of mind. Okay, so Jesus is teaching us that in our defenselessness, our safety lies. And he is teaching us that defenselessness is all that is required for the truth to dawn upon our minds with certainty. So defenselessness is all that is required for truth to dawn upon our minds with certainty. And in a state of defenselessness, we would be fully and wholly certain of the truth, and the truth would be consistent if we held only defenselessness, right? We wouldn't have no defenses. We would be open. Our minds would be connected, and we would know the peace of God. Okay, so here's one of the turnarounds. The ego has taught us that defensiveness is strength, right? Put your defenses up. That will make you strong. But there's literally a direct quote in the course, and it says, defensiveness is weakness. That's a quote. There's also a quote in the course that says, defenselessness is strength. Defenselessness is strength. Okay, so let's just take a moment around that, because one of the ways in which the ego tells us, put up your defenses, it will make you strong. Now we're having this turnaround in our mind going, when I defend myself, I become weak. When I defend myself, I'm automatically believing I'm under attack and I'm in fear. Fear is weakness. Fear is illusion. Fear is not the truth. But in my defenselessness, I learn that I am strong. Why? Because in our defenselessness, we are in communication with love. God in A Course in Miracles is perfect love. God is perfect love without limit. So it would make sense really to be in connection, in awareness of the connection with God, that we would be in limitlessness, in defenselessness, in openness. Okay? So we are strong in love. We are strong. We have everything we need in alignment with God. In that strength, we stand with Jesus and the Holy Spirit, and we hear them. We're directed by them. But it requires that we come out of our defensive posture, that we move out of a defensive space. And really what I'm talking about is a state of mind, right? Because if we think about defensiveness is like a closed mind. We put up walls in the mind. We put up barriers. We put up limitations in the mind. And then love can't enter in. You know, we've blocked it. It's not that the love is not there, but it can't enter into a closed mind. Okay, so defenselessness in A Course in Miracles is the pathway to true strength and safety. And it allows us to transcend fear, right? We in defenselessness, we transcend the fear. We're in the alignment with love. And what that means is that everything that we've been seeking for, because we're actually seeking for love. We're seeking for safety. We're seeking to be strong, but we've been seeking in the wrong place, right? Because the ego has its own dictate. Seek and do not find. Seek for love and do not find. Do not find it. So the ego has its own plan, and it says, follow me and you'll find love. Follow me and you'll be strong. Follow me and you'll be safe. But we know that's not true. We know that when we follow the ego, we're full of fear. And so there's this new pathway that opens up. And Jesus and the Holy Spirit are saying, follow us and you will find strength. You will find the love of God. You will find the safety that you have always sought. It's not in the world, but there is a state of mind that you will experience, and you will feel that. You will know that. You will rest there. And it's beautiful because the truth is that defenselessness cannot be attacked. So defensiveness can be attacked. You know, you're attacking something. What is there to attack when there's defenselessness? What would you attack? There's nothing to hit upon. There's nothing to collide with. Defenselessness cannot be attacked. There's nothing there to attack. Right? So and this is kind of a sweet line. It says defenselessness recognizes a strength so great, right? Like God's strength, that attack is folly, or a silly game a tired child might play when he becomes too sleepy to remember what he wants. You know, defenselessness doesn't play the silly game of defensiveness. There's nothing to play with. You know, defenses are illusory. They're made by the ego. They're made by fear to cover over the truth of God's eternal love. Defenselessness brings us into alignment, into remembrance of God's eternal love, who we really are. So that leads me to just us taking a moment to remember who we are as God created us. Okay? God created us as spirit. There is a lesson, I am spirit. There is multiple lessons that say, I am as God created me. I am his son eternally. I am as God created me, not as I made myself, not as the ego constructed me. I am as God created me. So Jesus says, I will not defend. He says, do not defend yourself, because the Son of God needs no defense against the truth of who he is. Right? If we remember who we are as spirit, is when we move away from the body identity and we come into remember our Christ identity, the light that's shining in all of us, the perfect eternal truth of who we are, the peace that we are, it needs no defense at all. Jesus says, we look past dreams today and recognize that we need no defense because we are created unassailable. We cannot be assailed. It's impossible. Now we cannot fear, for we have left all fearful thoughts behind. And in defenselessness, we stand secure, serenely certain of our safety, sure of salvation, and sure we will fulfill our chosen purpose. That's how we stand in defenselessness. Okay, I'm going to say that one more time. In defenselessness, we have no fear. Okay? We stand secure, serenely certain of our safety right here and right now. Sure of salvation, and sure we will fulfill our chosen purpose. Okay, yes, we are either in any moment in a defensive posture, in a defensive state of mind, or in a defenseless one. Okay, one is our alignment with ego, defend, protect, attack, defense, weakness, fear. And the other, alignment with spirit, defenselessness, openness, love is present. We are safe. We have everything we need. We are embraced by God's love, and we are certainly fulfilling our purpose. So here's some ideas about what it is to walk in defenselessness with the Holy Spirit and with Jesus, right? Either one. And it's so beautiful in A Course in Miracles. Our inner teachers, we can say the Holy Spirit and Jesus. We can interchange them. We can just refer to the Holy Spirit. We could just refer to Jesus, whatever's kind of on our heart in that moment. But they both work perfectly. They're both in perfect alignment with each other. It says here, in time with practice, you will never cease to think of him, the Holy Spirit, and hear his loving voice guiding your footsteps into quiet ways, where you will walk in true defenselessness. So you walk with the Holy Spirit in true defenselessness. We will never forget that he's with us, right? He's saying you'll never cease to not think of him. You'll know he's with you. You will hear his loving voice guiding you. and guiding your footsteps in gentle ways, you will walk in true defenselessness. Okay? That's how we walk when we're in alignment with God, when we're in alignment with love. So close your eyes for a moment, and I just want you to take this in. Close your eyes if it's safe and you're able to. Today, our theme is defenselessness. We clothe ourselves in it as we prepare to meet the day. We will remind ourselves that He, the Holy Spirit, remains beside us through the day and never leaves our weakness unsupported by His strength. We call upon His strength each time we feel the threat of our defenses undermine our certainty of purpose. We will pause a moment as He, the Holy Spirit, tells us, I am here. I am here with you right now. Gently open your eyes. And I want you to imagine that when you start your day tomorrow, you think of this. Defenselessness is my theme today. We will clothe ourselves in it as we prepare to meet this day. Just take that visual. I'm going to clothe myself in defenselessness as I prepare to meet my day. The Holy Spirit is with me. He guides my every move. I am safe. I am safe to rest in His presence and in His care. So I want to talk a little bit about how important defenselessness is, because it was actually named as one of the 10 characteristics of God's teachers. Now, of all the characteristics that are out there, defenselessness is one of the 10. That's how important it is. And there's a section in the course, in the manual for teachers, on this characteristic of defenselessness. And I just want to read a little bit about it. And it's really referring to the advanced teachers of God. These are what the advanced teachers of God, the characteristics that they hold. And it's all of these characteristics that we develop as we practice and we study this course. It says defenselessness. God's teachers have learned how to be simple. I love that. God's teachers have learned how to be simple. They have no dreams that need defense against the truth. They do not try to make themselves. Why? They remember, I am as God created me, right? Their joy comes from their understanding that who created them, and let me say that again. Their joy comes from their understanding of who created them. And does what God created need defense, right? And we've talked about this. What God created is without limit, is eternal. We are spirit. He says here, no one can become an advanced teacher of God until he fully understands that defenses are but foolish guardians of mad illusions. So that's kind of what we talked about last week. We said we have to, first of all, recognize our defensiveness, and then we have to see how foolish they are. They do exactly the opposite of what the ego tells us they will do. They do not protect us. They weaken us. They do not minimize fear. They keep fear in place. They do not keep us safe. They make us feel in danger. They make us feel that we are under constant attack. So we're learning as we go along that defenses are actually foolish. And what I do like about this statement is that Jesus likes to come in with humor and a lightheartedness. It's okay for us to see defenses as kind of a foolish attempt at strength. It blocks out the love of God. We want to see these attempts at defensiveness as silly, as foolish, because it will help us to let them go. The ego has made defensiveness so serious. It's really not. It's really protecting nothing. It's protecting illusions which we don't want to keep. Jesus says, slowly at first, he lets himself be undeceived, but he learns faster as his trust increases. Love that. As our trust increases, we learn faster. It is not danger that comes when defenses are laid down. It is safety. It is peace. It is joy. And it is God. Okay? So he's telling us the progression of how it goes, right? First of all, we have to recognize, and as advanced teachers, they do recognize defenses are foolish, but we don't recognize that immediately. He says, slowly, at first, we let ourselves be undeceived. So slowly, we start to see the deception of defenses and we start to let them go. But as we learn faster, our trust increases. We start to learn faster and our trust increases as we learn. Again, I'm going to say this, take it in. It is not danger that comes when defenses are laid down. It is safety. It is peace. It is joy. And it is God. Take a deep breath. Yeah. Even a deep breath is just such a wonderful invitation to relax. Just relax. We're letting to let go. We're letting to release tension. We're learning to open up. Okay, one more thing I want to say, and it's kind of a sweet idea. If we want to talk about a helpful defense, Jesus says, your present trust in the Holy Spirit is the defense that promises a future undisturbed without a trace of sorrow and with joy that constantly increases as this life becomes a holy instant set in time, but heeding only immortality. He says this, let no defenses but your present trust direct the future. And this life becomes a meaningful encounter with the truth that only your defenses would conceal. So one way to think about a defense that we would want to implement is our present trust in the Holy Spirit. But what is funny about that is the way we have present trust in the Holy Spirit is we surrender to the present moment, right? We need to actually let everything go to come present, to become present with him. And that trust in him is our greatest defense. It protects love. It protects our minds from illusions. It holds us in safety. Okay, so that present trust in the Holy Spirit and Jesus, we're working with that. We're working with that. We can use that as a defense. Okay, so what I want to talk about a little bit now is how Jesus talks about how to be defenseless. He uses kind of like some different ideas about defenselessness, and it's very much related to forgiveness. So forgiveness in A Course in Miracles is the means given us for our awakening. It tells us that forgiveness is the key to happiness. And forgiveness is not our conventional way that we think about forgiveness in the world and how the ego's taught us. Forgiveness on a simple level in the teachings of the Course is our willingness to let go of our ego thoughts and shift our minds to the thoughts of God. Forgiveness is our willingness to come from a defensive posture, a defensive state of mind, a closed mind, and the shift to defenselessness and open-mindedness. From fear to love. That's what forgiveness, that's the process where it brings our mind. It brings us back into alignment with the truth. So again, let's just remember that truth needs no defense. Only illusions need defense because they are not true. So we need defenses for illusions because we have to try to uphold them. They're not real, they're not true, so we have to defend them. Jesus is telling us, just bring the illusions to the truth and they will disappear. So one of the things we practice in forgiveness is bringing the illusions to the truth, or we could say bringing the darkness to the light. We never bring the truth to illusions or the light to the darkness. We're always in the empowered decision to bring illusions to the truth, darkness to the light, defensiveness to defenselessness. We bring the defensiveness to the light, and the defenses will disappear. Okay? So I'm going to just share a few quotes and just kind of reflect on them in terms of how we come to a state of defenselessness. Jesus says, we are called to lay down our defenses and allow love to enter. That's really simple. Lay down our defenses, and then it opens our mind for love to enter. Forgiveness teaches us to bring defenses, which are the darkness in the mind, to defenselessness, which is the light of truth in the mind. So bring our defenses to defenselessness, bring the darkness to the light. Okay? Jesus says, lay down your arms and come without defense into the quiet place where heaven's peace holds all things at last. Lay down all thoughts of danger and of fear. Let no attack enter with you. Lay down the cruel sword of judgment that you hold against your throat, and put aside the withering assaults with which you seek to hide your holiness. You can see Jesus, this invitation, he's saying, lay down the swords, the shields, the assaults, lay it down, lay down the judgments, lay it all down. Another way to say is lift it all up, lift it all up, lift it all up, right? We lay it down into God's arms. We can lay it down into God's arms. We can lift it up into the light of truth. It's all just a metaphor for our decision to take the darkness to the light, to take the defensiveness to the light and let it disappear. Jesus says here that the Holy Spirit waits for us behind our grievances. Okay, so imagine your mind and that the light of the Holy Spirit is always shining. But in our mind, we're caught in grievances. And so the light is shining, but it's not in our awareness. He waits for us behind the grievances. It's our choice to hold grievances. That's our free will. So we're holding the grievances. Jesus says, as you lay the grievances down, he will appear in shining light where each one stood before. Don't you love that? Every time we forgive a grievance, every time we let it up, every time we release it, the light of truth, the light of the Holy Spirit will shine where it stood before. Yes, that is forgiveness. That is forgiveness. We will forgive, and this darkness, these illusions, these grievances will disappear, and the light will shine. The light is always shining. Remember, the light is shining eternally. But in this state of fear, we don't remember. We don't see it. We're out of alignment. We're out of connection with it, and we struggle, and we're in sorrow, and we're unsafe there. We're afraid. This need not be. We just have to let it go, lay it down, release it. Release the defenses now. Here's one of the workbook. So in A Course in Miracles, there's a 365 lesson workbook, a lesson, a blessed lesson, a blessing for every day of the year. Okay. So this is kind of an essence from one of the lessons. Lesson 98, Jesus says, and when the hour goes, and he, the Holy Spirit, is there once more to spend a little time with you, be thankful and lay down all earthly tasks, all little thoughts and limited ideas, and spend a happy time again with him. So he's saying, even just to join with the Holy Spirit and Jesus, just to join with the light and the love of God, we're asked to do a God pause. We're asked to stop, to take a moment, to let go of our earthly tasks, to let go of all the little thoughts that distract us through the day, the limiting ideas that we hold, and just spend a happy time again with the love of God, with our teachers. Here's another thing, and I was saying Jesus is trying to lighten things up. He says, for love would ask you lay down all defenses as merely foolish. It's just saying, can you see that defenses are foolish? Love would ask you lay them down. Lay those down. Don't be silly. You don't need that. That's not protective. That's silly. What is true and who you are needs no defense. You are perfect. You are spirit. You are whole. You are safe. You are all of those things. What is true needs no defense. Lay them down. They are simply foolish. Don't be silly. Lay them down. Yeah, and here's another thought. He says, take time today to lay aside your shield, right? That's a good. We said put up the walls. We have a shield we put up. Say, take time, just maybe, hey, maybe we'll just take a little time to lay down our shield. What if I just asked you, maybe just lay down your shield for 5 minutes today? Just try it, just for 5 minutes. Find a safe space that you can rest and lay down your shield for 5 minutes. Just let go. Let go of all the earthly tasks and the limiting thoughts and all the things that distract you. Just lay down your shield. Jesus says, your shield profits nothing. Lay down the spear and the sword you raised against your enemy that doesn't have existence. That's not real. Just, you can lay down your weapons, lay down your shield, lay down your spear and your swords. Lay them down and see what happens. See what happens. Aren't you curious? Jesus says, lay judgment down, not with regret, but with a sigh of gratitude. Now are you free of a burden so great that you could merely stagger and fall down beneath it. And it was all illusion, nothing more. Now can the teacher of God rise up unburdened and walk lightly on. This is a path to liberation. We are unburdening the mind when we let go of our defenses. We are allowing forgiveness to happen. We are in full participation of releasing illusions and defenses and fear and letting love lead. And I like this idea too, because Jesus says it is not difficult to relinquish judgment. Actually, it is difficult indeed to try and keep it. The teacher of God lays judgment down happily the instant he recognizes how costly it is. And I just love that idea. I said, you think that it's easy to hold up these defenses and these judgments and these grievances? It takes all of our energy. It is actually the most unnatural thing we can do. It's completely against the order of our natural reality toward love. And so we are learning to turn in the direction of truth and lay it all down and forgive it, release it, and just allow our minds to return to the truth of love. That is, our mind is one with God's. That is, our mind is one with love. And it is actually so unnatural to hold up defensiveness in the mind and to close it off from reality, to close it off from that love. And so there's just such encouragement for us to surrender all this defensiveness and to open up to see what happens. I think the most important thing about the lesson in my defenselessness, my safety lies, is that I wanted to investigate if that was true. I was like, I didn't actually believe it when I first read it. I was curious. I was kind of hopeful that there was another direction, but I knew that I needed experiences. I knew that I needed to actually let go of defensiveness and see what happened, to see, was I safe? Was love present? And it has been so miraculous, because what happens when we let go of defensiveness is that God can enter in and bring the resolution and bring the miracle, right? We actually block the resolution to our problems and the miracles that can come, that can replace the grievances, by holding the defense in place. And we wonder why we're so stuck and so in pain and so in paralysis. And it's all because we haven't actually opened our hearts and minds to see the miracle that stands there, the light that shines there. And so I'm so encouraging you, will you make this a practice? Okay, so I want to talk a little bit more about just some of my own personal experiences with moving into defenselessness. And then I'm really encouraging you, if you can come to our live calls on Mondays, 6 p.m. Pacific, we do have a live question and answer for those that are on the call. So I do encourage you to come on live if you're able to. Okay, so yeah, there was several times when I was in conflict with someone. So when we're in conflict with another person, we are often in defensiveness. We are in defensiveness. And what Jesus would show me was he would show me that I was in a boxing ring with another person. And we say we both had our gloves up and we were throwing punches and we were defending and attacking and we were doing all the things that were in the boxing ring. So he would show me in the conflict with the other person. And then he would say, get out of the boxing ring. Lay down your gloves. Take them off and get out of the boxing ring. And I would say, no. What do you mean? What's going to happen if I get out of the boxing ring? And he would say, well, then the other person won't have anyone to fight. So remember when we say, when you're defensive and you try and fight defenselessness, but there's actually nothing there to fight. But I had to step out. I had to lay down the gloves. I had to step out of the boxing ring, out of the conflict. And it was beautiful. It works. It actually just works. But what it's connected to is having to give up being right. So being right is a big defense that we hold. In A Course in Miracles, Jesus asks, would you rather be right or happy? And I think in honesty, a lot of the time we'd rather be right. We're still kind of caught in that, thinking being right is a better situation than being happy. And so it takes kind of a real relinquishment of judgment and a real laying down of defenses to step out of the boxing ring, because I had to actually decide I have to be okay with not being right here. And it wasn't that Jesus was making me wrong. He was just saying, you're wrong. It's incorrect to stay in the conflict about it. You know, it's like, it's just, that's the wrong mindedness. He's like, the right mindedness is to step out and to surrender. And so when I step out of the boxing ring, all of a sudden I'm not in defense and attack. So I can kind of hear my inner teacher talking to me again, and the light can flow in, and I can now have, like, even see it from a different perspective, because I'm not in the fight. I'm not in the conflict anymore. So that visual was given to me and has been given to me over the years many, many times. And it's very, very helpful in terms of making what it feels like to move into defenselessness more tangible. So that's something I recommend if you're caught in a conflict with another. And I want you to be really compassionate with yourself. It may take some time to step out of the boxing ring. And what happens is when we step out of the boxing ring, we don't actually know what to do, but Jesus and the Holy Spirit do. So all we have to do is step out and lay the gloves in their hands and lay the conflict in their hands and just ask for guidance and help. And they'll be there, right there with us, just leading us step by step. So, and the other thing is that's really sweet about the idea of, like, being willing to be wrong about things, is that Jesus says, there's this part in the Course where he says, maybe just ask yourself, maybe just say to yourself, well, perhaps I've been wrong. Not even I've been wrong, but perhaps I've been wrong. Maybe there's another way to see this. So I think that's even so sweet, because he's just meeting us there and he goes, I know it's hard for you to admit that you're wrong. Maybe just be curious. Perhaps you've been wrong. Maybe you could admit perhaps you've been wrong because you don't like how you feel. And so I don't like how I feel. So perhaps I'm wrong about the way I'm seeing this. Perhaps there's another way to see this. And that opens up the mind. That brings us into a receptivity. That's an asking for another way of seeing. That's forgiveness in A Course in Miracles. And then really simply is sometimes I just lay down on the floor. I think it's called like Savasana or corpse pose in yoga. And I just lay down on the floor and I do like a full body surrender. I will admit that sometimes my body even shakes and moves around if I am holding a lot of defensiveness and a lot of feelings and I'm really caught. I will sometimes shake a little bit and energy gets released, and I just lie down for a little while. And it is my offering of everything to the Holy Spirit for help. And I move into a really defenseless posture so that I can get help and support. And that has, it's really funny. I have this remembrance of being in the kitchen with my kids, and they were just fighting, and there was so much conflict in the kitchen, and there was just all the things going on, and I just said I just have to lay down and die to this right now. Like I had to lay down and die to the whole conflict. I just laid down in the middle of the kitchen floor. My kids just thought I was crazy. I laid down in the middle of the kitchen floor. I said, I'm done. I'm done. I'm out. I'm out. And it was just so beautiful. Not only did it bring a lot of laughter and humor, but it actually really, really worked. It shifted me out of the whole conflict, and I just went into a state of surrender. And I just remember peace entering after that, and a lot of laughter. But that began my practice of just laying down fully on my bed, laying down on the floor, just surrendering into defenselessness. It's really sometimes just a felt sense of moving into that deep surrender. So yes, I just want to thank you so much for your deep listening and your presence in our community. You play an essential part here. You may just come and listen. You may be actively participating, whatever your part is. I am so, so grateful for you. And come and visit our website, www.modernmiracles.com. And you can just check out what we're up to. Come to our Monday nights. We have a minister training program and a workbook journey program, just a beautiful support system for you through the study of A Course in Miracles. So again, I just wish you only blessings. I'm joined with you in defenselessness this week. I hope you clothe yourself in defenselessness as you meet the day tomorrow, and sending tons of love. Blessings. Have a wonderful day.